You get up to make coffee. They get up. You move to the living room. They move. You go to the bathroom. And somehow, before the door is even closed, there's a nose pressed against the bottom of it. Most people laugh it off. Some find it endearing. A few find it quietly suffocating. But almost nobody asks the real question, why? Not why do dogs follow people in some general hand-wavy sense, but why does your dog follow you specifically, relentlessly, like your shadow grew fur and a heartbeat? Because the answer isn't what most people assume. It isn't boredom. It isn't separation anxiety. It isn't because you have food in your pocket. Behavioral neuroscience tells a completely different story. And once you hear it, once you understand what's actually driving that little body to follow yours through every room of your house, you will never be mildly irritated by it again. Let's start with what most people assume, that following is about dependence, that dogs follow their owners because they've been conditioned to, because you control the food, the walks, the treats, because you're the source of everything good in their life, and they're simply tracking the resource. Here's the problem with that. Researchers at Eötvös Loránd University in Budapest tested exactly this. They designed a study where dogs could choose to stay near the person who provided all their food and resources, or near the person they had simply spent more time with and formed a bond with. When the two were separated, dogs chose the bond, not the food, not the resource, the relationship, every time. What this tells us is that your dog isn't following you because you're useful. They're following you because you are, to them, the single most important social relationship in their entire world. And that changes everything about how we should understand what happens every time they get up and follow you down the hallway. To really understand this, we need to go back, way back. Roughly 15,000 years ago, wolves began approaching human camps. The friendliest ones, the ones least likely to flee, most likely to tolerate proximity, survived better, were fed more, passed on their traits. Over thousands of generations, something extraordinary happened. Those wolves didn't just become tamer, they became oriented toward us. Geneticists have found that domestic dogs carry specific insertions on chromosome 6 in a region directly associated with human-directed social behavior, hypersociality, contact-seeking, the compulsive need to be near their people. Wolves don't have these insertions. Your dog isn't following you despite their instincts. They're following you because of them. Because 15,000 years of evolution selected, generation after generation, for the dog who stayed closest to the human. The ones who followed survived. The ones who didn't. Following you isn't a behavior your dog learned. It's a behavior that was built into them before they were born, before their parents were born, across hundreds of generations of dogs who were drawn to human presence like a compass needle to north. But here's where it gets really interesting, because not all following is the same. Behavioral researchers studying canine attachment have identified something they call the secure base effect. It works like this. When your dog knows where you are, when they can see you, hear you, smell you, they're able to explore, to play, to engage with the world around them with confidence. The moment you disappear, everything changes. Studies at the University of Vienna found that dogs in unfamiliar environments would explore freely and confidently when their owner was present, and became significantly more hesitant, more stressed, and less willing to engage when their owner left the room. Not because the room changed, not because anything threatening appeared, simply because you were gone. What this reveals is that your dog isn't following you because they're anxious. They're following you because you are their secure base, their reference point, the thing that makes the rest of the world navigable. When you're visible, they can function. When you disappear, even briefly, even into the next room, a very old part of their brain registers something important as missing, and they come to find it. Now here's the part that most dog owners never hear. There is a neurochemical explanation for why your dog physically cannot seem to let you out of their sight. When your dog is near you, Within sight, within smell, within physical proximity, their brain releases a steady, low-level stream of oxytocin, the bonding hormone, the same molecule that fires between a mother and her newborn, between close friends reuniting after months apart. It creates a sensation researchers describe as felt security, a quiet biological calm that comes specifically from being near the person you're bonded to. Now here's what happens when you leave the room. That oxytocin signal drops almost immediately, and in its place, cortisol begins to rise, the stress hormone, the same hormonal signature that appears during genuine threat and fear. Your dog isn't being dramatic. Their brain chemistry is literally shifting the moment you walk out of sight. And the only thing that reverses it, the only thing that restores the oxytocin, drops the cortisol, and returns their nervous system to baseline, is finding you again. Following you isn't a choice they're making consciously. It's a biological drive, as real and as physical as hunger. Here's a question almost nobody thinks to ask. Does your dog follow you equally everywhere, or are there patterns? Because behavioral researchers have found that following behavior isn't random. It clusters around specific moments, and those moments tell you something profound about what your dog is actually experiencing. Dogs follow most intensely at 3 specific times. When you've been away, the reunion, following even a short absence, triggers a spike in oxytocin and dopamine, the anticipatory reward signal. Your dog isn't just glad you're back, their brain is chemically flooded with it. And the following behavior that comes after is the physical expression of that flood. When something feels uncertain, a strange sound, an unfamiliar visitor, a shift in routine. In these moments, following spikes because you are their emotional regulator. Their nervous system is using your presence to determine how threatened to feel. If you're calm and unbothered, they can be too, but they need to be close enough to read you. When you're unwell, this one stops people. Dogs have been documented in multiple studies across multiple countries, changing their behavior around owners who are ill, injured, or emotionally distressed. Following increases. Physical contact increases. The dog seems to know something is wrong even before the owner has fully registered it themselves. Researchers believe dogs read micro-changes in body chemistry, hormonal shifts, changes in skin conductance, subtle alterations in how we move and breathe that signal distress long before we show it outwardly. Your dog doesn't just follow you through your house, they follow you through your emotional states, reading you, adjusting to you, trying in every way their biology allows to stay close to the person their entire world is organized around. Now, I want to address something directly, because some of you watching this have been told that following behavior is a problem, that it's separation anxiety, that you should ignore it, discourage it, teach your dog to be more independent. And I want to be careful here, because there is a clinical condition called separation anxiety in dogs, and it's real, and it's distressing, and it needs attention. But there's a difference between a dog with separation anxiety, who panics, destroys, vocalizes, and cannot self-regulate even briefly, and a dog who simply prefers to be near you. One is a clinical problem. The other is one of the most ancient, most documented, most neurobiologically grounded expressions of attachment that exists between 2 species on this planet. Researchers who study the human-dog bond have a name for dogs who follow their owners closely, seek physical proximity, and use their owner as a secure base. They call them securely attached. Not anxious, not dependent, not broken, securely attached, which is the healthiest possible outcome of the bond between a dog and their person. Your dog following you through your house isn't a behavioral problem. It's a behavioral complement. There's one last thing I need to tell you, and it's the part of this conversation I think matters most. If your dog has always followed you, through every room, every day, as long as you've had them, and one day they stop, pay attention. Not with alarm, with awareness. because veterinary behaviorists have documented that changes in proximity-seeking behavior, a dog who suddenly stops following, stops seeking contact, starts preferring to be alone, are among the earliest behavioral indicators of pain, illness, and, in older dogs, cognitive decline. A dog who has always wanted to be near you and suddenly doesn't isn't giving you space. They may be telling you something in the only language they have. So if the following stops, if the shadow disappears, if you notice you're moving through your house alone in a way you haven't before, don't dismiss it. Get them checked. Because the dog who follows you everywhere is also the dog who cannot fake being okay when they're not. Their behavior is their only voice. Listen to it. So the next time you get up from the couch and hear the familiar sound of paws on the floor behind you, remember what's actually happening. It's not clinginess, it's not anxiety, it's not a training failure. It's 15,000 years of evolution, a neurochemical bond that exists nowhere else in nature, a nervous system that uses your presence as its anchor point, and a creature who has decided, out of every warm spot in the house, every quiet corner, every comfortable place they could be, that the best place to be is wherever you are. If this changed how you think about your dog, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, does your dog follow you into every single room? Because I want to know if they even let you go to the bathroom alone.